Hello dear students, today I will discuss part 3rd of Unit 5 Surface Chemistry. After studying part 3rd, you will be able to explain enzyme catalysis. Enzymes are basically also known as biological catalyst, and they are protein in nature. Then you will be able to know about some enzymatic reactions. That means some reactions which are catalyzed by enzymes. One more thing about the enzymes. Enzymes catalyze a numerous reaction in the living beings, that is in animals and plants. That's why enzymes are also known as biological catalyst. Now you are able to know classification of substance by Thomas Graham, that is crystalloids and colloids. Thomas Graham differentiate the substance on the basis of diffusion into two categories. One is known as crystalloid and second is known as colloid. The common example of crystalloid is sugar solution, salt solution, urea solution, acid or base solution, and the common example of colloids are starch solution, gelatin solution. These are the common example of crystalloid and colloids. In this lecture, I will explain you about these two substances. Then you will be able to differentiate between true solution, colloidal solution and suspension on the basis of their particles. As I told you in previous lecture that the particle size in the true solution are basically less than 1 nanometer, but in colloidal solution the particle size are in between 1 nanometer to 1000 nanometer, and in suspension the size of particles is more than 1000 nanometer. So now dear students, here I will discuss about the enzyme catalysis in detail. One more thing, in previous lecture, that is in part 2 of unit 5, I told you about the catalyst, their type, that is homogeneous and heterogeneous, and some characteristics of catalyst, that is the catalyst enhance the rate of reaction but not initiate the rate of reaction. That is, catalyst never change the value of delta G from positive to negative, but only they enhance the rate of chemical reaction. Catalyst also do not change the value of rate constant, that is equilibrium constant, but they help to attain the equilibrium quickly or fastly. So that's are the some basic property which I told you in lecture 2 of unit 5. Now here in part 3 of unit 5, I will explain you about the enzyme catalysis. So as enzymes are complex nitrogenous organic compound which catalyze numerous reactions that occurs in the bodies of animals and plants to maintain the life process. Enzymes are basically protein molecules of high molecular mass, and also it conform colloidal solution in water. So that's why we have to study about the enzyme catalysis in this chapter. One more points you have to know that as enzymes catalyze so many reactions in the plants and animals, that is living being. That's why enzymes are also known as biological catalyst, and the phenomenon occurs due to enzyme is known as biological catalysis. Here some examples are given to explain how they catalyze the particular reaction. So one common examples, that is inversion of cane sugar. This example came so many times in the previous lectures. Here again, C12H22O11 is known as cane sugar or sucrose, that is also known as home sugar, table sugar. The sugar which we eat in the house is known as sucrose. The common formula of sucrose is this: when hydrolyzed in the presence of an enzyme in wattage, it will break into two molecules, one molecule glucose and one molecule fructose. Both have same formula, but due to difference in structure, the name is changed. Glucose have property of rotation of light to the right direction, and fructose have property of to rotate light in the left direction. As sucrose is dextrorotatory, that means it rotates the plane of light to the right direction. Glucose is also dextrorotatory, but fructose is levorotatory. So the product is known as, that is glucose plus fructose, is known as invert sugar region of due to fructose having levorotatory property. So this concept you will also study in unit 14 biomolecules, that is the second part of NCERT. Second example, conversion of glucose into ethyl alcohol. So here one enzyme is required. That enzyme is known as zymase. Invertase and zymase is obtained from basically a fungus that is known as yeast. So here glucose convert into ethyl alcohol plus CO2. That is also a type of anaerobic reactions where the glucose convert into ethyl alcohol and CO2. Now one more thing you have to know about the enzymes. If suffix age, ASE, age is written, so that's indicate about the enzymatic nature. That is, if maltose is written here, that is OJ as a suffix OSE, so it belongs to the carbohydrates. But if it is written like maltase, that is the suffix H, ASE, that belongs to the enzyme. So you can easily differentiate between the carbohydrates and enzymes by seeing the suffix H or OJ. If OJ are written, that is belong to the carbohydrates. If H is written ASE, so this is belong to the enzyme. So this is the common difference by which you can differentiate about the glucose, that is basically carbohydrates, and enzymes. Now some more conversions which are carried out by the enzyme. The common examples are also given here, but some more examples. Listen it. That is conversion of maltose into glucose. The maltose and sucrose have same molecular formula, but due to different structure and different product, the name are changed. So maltose are hydrolyzed in presence of enzymes maltase. Again listen, maltose that is sugar, but maltase that is enzyme. But here maltose gives 2 molar glucose, as in sucrose it will gives 1 molar glucose and 1 molar fructose. But in case of maltose, we find that 2 molar glucose after hydrolysis in presence of maltase. One more examples, in the stomach, one enzyme is that is known as pepsin. This convert protein into peptides. So this is also enzymes which carry out the reaction in the living beings. One more enzymes, that is urease. This convert urea into ammonia and CO2. So these are the some common examples which are catalyzed by the enzymes. Now dear students, here some enzymatic reactions are given in the form of table: enzymes, then source, then enzymatic reaction. So enzyme is invertase, their source is yeast. Yeast is a fungus by which we obtained enzyme invertase. The enzymatic reaction, that means which reaction catalyzed by invertase, that is sucrose change into glucose and fructose. Now second enzyme, zymase. This is also obtained from yeast. This is a fungus. Now zymase convert glucose into ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. Next enzyme, diastase. Again written H, that means indicate the enzymes. The diastase is the source. Its source is malt. Here starch is break into maltose. Then one more enzyme is maltase. This maltase is again obtained from yeast. Here the maltose break into glucose. One more enzyme is urease. This is obtained from soybean. Soybean we also use in the house. We make vegetables from the soybeans. Soybean is also a main source of protein also. So here urease obtained from soybean. This urease convert urea into ammonia and carbon dioxide. Then one more enzyme is pepsin. This enzyme is present in the stomach, and in the stomach proteins are digested. So that means proteins are changed into amino acid. Here proteins are polymers and amino acid are monomers. So sometime one question is asking that which nutrients is digested in the stomach. So your answer is protein, because the protein digesting enzymes are present only in the stomach. One more thing, for the pepsin to activate, it requires acidic medium, and you know that the stomach contains acidic medium, that means less pH due to presence of HCl, and this pepsin activate and then change protein into amino acid. So that's why the protein digested in the stomach. So these are some basic enzymatic reactions which you have to know for your examination point of view. Now dear students, here we have to discuss about the characteristics of enzyme catalysis. So first property of enzyme catalysis is, that is enzyme catalyst, high efficiency. So how can you explain the high efficiency? That is 1 mole of enzyme may transfer 1 million mole of reactant per minute. So listen again, that means either you can say that 1 molecule of enzyme can change 1 million of molecule of reactant per minute into product. That is, they increase the rate of reaction 10 to the power 8 to 10 to the power 20 times. That indicate their efficiency is high. Second, highly specific in nature. Here about the specificity means one enzymes only carry out, that is catalyze only one reaction, but not the all reaction. That is, each enzyme catalyst cannot catalyze more than one reaction. Simply, you can take example: enzyme invertase hydrolyze sucrose but not maltose. That means कि sucrose is hydrolyzed by invertase but maltose are hydrolyzed by maltase but not invertase. That means every enzyme is specific for a particular type of a reaction. Third property of enzyme catalysis is optimum temperature. Here the optimum temperature means the minimum temperature which are required to catalyze a particular reaction by a particular enzyme. If we are talking about the body of human beings, so as you know that the human beings have a fixed temperature, that is 37 degrees centigrade, or you can say nearly 310 Kelvin temperature. In that condition, what happens? Enzyme catalyst gives higher yield at optimum temperature, that is 298 to 310 Kelvin. As we know that human body temperature is at being 310 Kelvin is suited for the enzyme catalyzed reaction. So one question is asking in the board examination, what happens in case of fever? That means in case of fever, the digestion process is not going on properly. So because in the fever case, what happens? The temperature of body is more and enzymes is required a particular temperature. That's why the enzymes working is not properly in that condition, and hence digestion process will be slow. Next property of enzymes is optimum pH. Again, every enzymes needed a pH, particular pH to catalyze a particular reaction. That means the rate of an enzyme catalyzed reaction is maximum at optimum pH range from 5 to 7. If we are taken the example of enzymes in the living beings, so think about that. Enzymes present in the mouth, that is salivary amylase, it required for its working at 6.8 pH, that is slightly acidic pH. But when you want to digest the protein in the stomach, so for that condition the pH should be 2 to 3, and for this pH the pepsin enzymes are activated. So that indicate the digestion of food is also required optimum pH at different places. So that's why the pH is also very important for the enzymatic reactions. Next, dear students, you have to know about the activators. Now the activators are basically like the ions such as sodium plus, calcium 2 plus, Mn2 plus. They help in activation of enzymes which cannot act as their own strength. So when the enzymes are not active too much to carry out the particular reaction, in that condition the ions such as Na plus, Ca2 plus, Mn2 plus are added so that they can activate the enzymes, and hence these cations are known as activators. Now dear students, you have to know about the coenzymes. As the name indicates, coenzymes. Co means association, that means sahyogi. So here coenzymes are the substance having nature similar to the enzymes, just like our friends. So we have making the friendship with the similar nature. So like here also, coenzymes are the substance having nature similar to the enzymes, and their presence increases the enzymatic reaction. So basically vitamins act as a coenzymes. So maybe one question is asked in the board examination, which of the following, in the optional question, which of the following work as coenzymes? So options may be vitamins, metals, maybe activators, maybe inhibitors are given. So your answer should be vitamins. So you have to learn about this. Here coenzymes are vitamins. Then dear students, you have to know about the effect of inhibitors. So inhibitors that indicate the name inhibitors, that means inhibit the rate of reaction which are carried out by the enzymes. So hence inhibitor slow down the rate of enzymatic reactions. Therefore, the use of many drugs is based on enzyme inhibition action of those drugs in the body. Just we have taken one example of allergy. If you are facing the problem of allergy, so you have taken the medicine which inhibit the action of enzymes so that you can get relief from the allergy. Sometimes you are also taking the antibiotics. This also affect your digestion process. So this is also a type of inhibitors. So dear students, these are the some properties which you have to know about the enzymes. So listen the all property and try to make a note in the classwork copy. Now dear students, we have to know about the mechanism of enzyme catalysis. So here you have to know about the lock and key hypothesis. But in case in biology, for the biology students, they also know one more theory about the enzyme catalyzed mechanism, that is known as induced fit model. But the need of chemistry is only lock and key hypothesis. So look the diagram and try to understand the mechanism of enzymatic catalysis. So look the diagram. Here the molecules of the reactant, that is substrate, written S, which have complementary shape, fit into the cavities just like a K into a lock. On account of the presence of active groups, the activated complex is formed, which then decompose to yield the product. So that is when enzymes, that is catalyst, just like a key, or attached to the active site of substrate, that is the lock, having the same complementary shape, they form a complex that is known as ES complex, and after some time this complex is break. Now the enzymes as such remove, and now the substrate change into the product. So this diagram properly indicate the working model of enzyme catalyzed reaction. So just like think about that in our houses, every lock have their own key. Like that, enzymes only catalyze, that means only react with the particular substrate and change into the product, but not the single enzymes can be unlock all the substance or all the substrate to convert into the product. So this mechanism also indicate the specific nature of enzyme. So try to draw the structure in the classwork copy to understand properly about the mechanism of enzyme catalyzed reaction. Okay dear students. Now dear students, classification of the substance by Thomas Graham. Again here, Thomas Graham in 1861 classified substance into two categories on the basis of their rate of diffusion. The one category belong to the crystalloid and second category belong to the colloids. So now about the crystalloid, they diffuse rapidly in the solution and can pass rapidly through the animal or vegetable membranes. These membranes may be semi-permeable or permeable. For example, all organic acid, bases and salt and organic compounds, urea, sugar and some other example salt and other crystalline substance are belong to the crystalloids. Now about the colloids, they diffuse very slowly in the solution and cannot pass through animal or vegetable membranes. The common example of colloids: starch solution, gelatin, salicylic acid, proteins, etc. So Thomas Graham categorized the substance into two types, but this theory is discarded because the crystalloid can change into colloids by giving the required condition. Now here note, actually every substance irrespective of its nature can be crystalloid or colloid under suitable condition. So here some examples are given. We discard this concept. The first example, NaCl, though a crystalloid in water, that means when NaCl dissolve in the water, they behave as crystalloid. But when NaCl dissolve in benzene, so now they behave as colloid. That means NaCl in water, the particle size is less than 1 nanometer, but in benzene, the particle size is 1 nanometer to 1000 nanometer. So that's why the NaCl can behave as crystalloid or colloid depending upon the condition. The second example, soap. Soap is a colloid in water while it behave like a crystalloid in benzene. Again here same things are happen. That means soap behave as colloid in water, but when soap dissolve in benzene, they behave as crystalloid. So that's why the Thomas Graham theory are discarded. Now dear students, we have to differentiate between true solution, colloidal solution and suspension on the basis of some properties. So here 4 columns are there. First column is properties, second true solution, third colloidal solution, fourth suspensions. So properties, size, that is diameter. So for true solution, I told you this also, less than 1 nanometer, but for colloidal solution between 1 nanometer to 1000 nanometers, or you can say like 10 की power minus 9 to 10 की power minus 6 meter. But for suspension, the size of particles is greater than 1000 nanometer. So this is the basic difference on the basis of size of particles. Second property, visibility. So now true solution are invisible even under ultra microscope, but colloidal solution visible only under ultra microscope. But about the suspension, visible even by naked eye. So these are the difference between the true solution, colloidal solution and suspension on the basis of visibility. Now dear students, diffusion. True solution diffuses rapidly through parchment paper. It is also known as baking paper. Colloidal solution diffuse slowly through parchment paper, that is parchment membrane, but suspension have no diffusion. So on the basis of diffusion, you can differentiate between the true solution, colloidal solution and suspension like this. Now dear students, some more property, that is filtration. So true solution, the filtration possible through filter paper and parchment paper. That means if NaCl solution are taken in water, so they can pass through the water molecules by filter paper. But about colloidal solution, the filtration possible through filter paper but not parchment membrane. Here filter paper and parchment membrane have different pore size, so that's why the filtration is possible by the filter paper but not parchment paper. Third, suspension. The filtration in case of suspension is impossible either by filter paper, either by parchment paper. Fourth, scattering of light. So true solution don't show the scattering of light, but colloidal solution show the scattering of light that is known as Tyndall effect. Suspension do not show the Tyndall effect. So this is the one more difference between the true solution, colloidal solution and suspension on the basis of scattering of light. So maybe here three containers are given to you. One container's name is A, B, second is B, or third is C. So one may be asked that how can you differentiate between true solution and suspension and colloidal solution? So by scattering of light, if scattering take place, so that means it may be known as colloidal solution. If no scattering take place, it may be true solution or suspension. Now look the diagram to understand better about the difference between suspension, colloidal solution and true solution. So look the particle size, that is more than 1000 nanometer. As seen in the diagram clearly, the particle size between 1 to 1000 nanometers or particle size less than 1 nanometers. The small the particle size belong to the true solution, large particle size belong to the suspension, and in between the particle size belong to the colloidal solution. So that's why you can also say that colloidal is the condition between true solution and suspension. Now you can take the common example of true solution, NaCl in water, the colloidal solution starch in water, and suspension sand in water. So these are the basic examples which can differentiate between the suspension, solution and colloidal solution. So now dear students, I have given some solved questions which are based on the above topics. So first of all, listen the PPT videos clearly, make a proper notes and then solve the question like this. So question number 1, what the range of size of colloidal particles? So the solution is the size of colloidal particles ranges from 1 to 1000 nanometers. Second question, do the vital function of the body such as digestion get affected during the fever? This I also told you. In the optimum condition, temperature condition of enzymatic reaction. Explain your answer. So your answer should be like this. The optimum temperature range for the activity of enzyme is 298 to 300 Kelvin, 310 Kelvin. That is, on either side of this temperature range, enzymatic activity get affected. So thus, during the fever, when temperature rises above 310 Kelvin, the activity of enzyme may be affected, and that is why vital function of the body such as digestion get affected during fever. This you also face so many times when you facing the fever, कि you don't interest to take the food. That means your stomach don't demand the food during the fever. But when you recover from the fever, you want to take more and more food. So this is a common example of optimum temperature which is required for enzymatic reaction. Now third question, name the substance catalyzed by Zyme. So here I have also given these examples. Here again one question is framed to you to understand which type of question may be arises from these topics. So now your answer is glucose. You have to write the Zyme on the arrow and then convert into ethyl alcohol. So that means glucose convert into ethyl alcohol in the presence of Zyme and also liberates CO2 gas. Now question number 4. So are you getting this or not? So what are the temperature, optimum temperature and pH at which enzymes are highly active? So again here temperature range is 298 to 310 Kelvin and the pH is 5 to 7. So these are the optimum temperature and pH at which enzymes are highly active. So dear students, Again, read the topic from NCERT also and listen the PPT video clearly and make a proper notes in the classwork copy. So dear students, first of all, make a target for board examination, that is 100% marks in the board examination. This is very easy to you. If you listen the video properly, you work sincerely at your home, you can achieve your 100% in the board examination. So dear students, do all work in classwork copy, prepare a note with the help of PPT video. Stay safe, stay healthy and keep learning. Thank you dear students.